welcome friends once again to the NPTEL MOOC module on health economics. We are in continuation to our previous lecture. We discuss non-monetary measures of health. In particular, we discuss about the HRQL, that is health related quality of life, and their generic descriptive tools. Then we emphasize the QALY and different health systems, and also we discuss about the evolution. So, in this lecture we will emphasize on health state evaluation technique, health indexes other than QALY, that is disability adjusted life years and healthy life years equivalent. Okay. So, let us understand the health state evaluation techniques. These techniques are of various types, like it understands the magnitude estimation, then paired comparison is made. Here in the magnitude estimation case, people are asked simply to give a direct estimation of size, whereas in the pair comparison we are supposed to take the alternatives and find out the most preferred one. However, in all the techniques, most widely applied techniques are visual analog scale, standard gamble, and time trade off techniques. So, these three will be discussed in detail. So, we will start with visual analog scale. Here this is your scale where you can map directly from the scale itself. Currently one of the most used health evaluation technique. This is, since it is quite simpler, and so it is most used in health evaluation techniques. In short called VAS, that is visual analog scale, but its role is controversial, as mentioned by Parkin and Devlin 2006. However, it has merits since it requires minimum assistance. Usually this consists of single line with fixed endpoints and equal intervals, with vowel and numeric description at each end. This is illustrated by the vertical line, okay, and the bottom value indicates 0, whereas the top value indicate the 100. So, bottom of course refers to the worst case, that is of health issues, that is dead, and the top one is the best health indicators. Okay. So, respondent is asked to locate a given description of health state on this scale before as well as after treatment. Another is called the standard gamble method technique. This SG was invented specifically to measure Neumann and Morgenstern utility. This is applicable to healthcare or health. There are steps involved to understand the standard gamble. In the step 1, the patient is informed about his current health condition and detailing the impact on their daily life, potential complications, overall quality of life, etc. In the step 2, patient is presented with a choice between two alternatives. The alternative 1, that is be in a current state, and you can also see from the figure. So, be in the current state, that is current condition or associated with the quality of life, that is QALY, and that is why you need to find out first of all that in this case we have mentioned as A1, and I will also present the A2 case. Okay. So, in the alternative 2 case, first the case is A1, we have just said in the current state. In the second alternative is a proposed treatment that involves gamble with two possible outcomes, one better, so maybe certain with certain probability of recovery and success. So, say it is QF referring to full health with probability P, and the other is might have the health condition might have been worst, or it has attached with risk. So, it is called risk of adverse effect due to treatment failure. So, the either this is what is mentioned with the p probability and 1 minus p probability. So, and treatment failure might refer to death with the probability 1 minus p. Hence, the utility function is defined as an expected form with their probability as p and 1 minus p. So, we can mention as p times QF. QF we have already said if the patient improved with the treatment, and in the second one is 1 minus p is not improved, rather losing life. Okay. So, in the left hand side we are actually explaining the value about the described health, and on the right hand side we are actually explaining the expected value of choosing the risk option. So, one important aspect attached with this is varying probability of success. The patient is then presented with different probabilities of treatment success. Treatment not necessarily be 1 and 0 or either only success or failure. So, for each probability the patient is asked whether they would choose the certain outcome of continuing with the current health system or health state, or take the gamble on the next treatment. So, in the fourth step it is all about the total utility or the determining utility. So, the probability at which the patient becomes indifferent between the certain outcome and the gamble, this represents their subjective assessment of the treatment's value. The utility derived from this probability reflects the perceived QL, quality of life, associated with the treatment options, which you already discussed. Then comes TTO, that is called time trade off. Okay. Time trade off is simply a choice with the time. A longer inferior health state, if time is considered to be taking more longer time or longer time, or a shorter life in full length. There is a trade off between these two, trade off between quality of life or length of life. Okay. So, whether time really matters or the quality of life matters, if quality of life takes, it might take more longer time. Okay. So, in the step 1 of the TTO, respondents are usually asked to imagine themselves in a described health state, let it be QI for a period T may be of 10 years. Then the respondents are asked that how many years they would be prepared to trade off in exchange of their full health. On the third step, we try to establish where respondents are indifferent between the QL and the LOL, that is length of life, QL that is quality of life. So, and the amounts of time in full health, the T, okay, the T that is incurred for the full health. Hence, the QI times the total T is nothing but is equal to the QF we already said times its the amount of time its full health, and QF stands for the full health, that is equal to 1. Okay, and the current described health is QI, and T is shorter period of period for with QF, and T is total reference time. Since the full health is equal to 1, QF that is equal to 1, hence QI is equal to T upon the capital T, small t upon capital T, since this is actually equal to 1. Alright. Suppose one of the alternatives is a particular state of health for 5 years, and the respondents states that this is equivalent to 4 years in full health. Okay. Then the value of that health is 4 out of 5. Okay. And then since so T is small t is 4 and the total length of the state of health is of 5 years. So, QI in this case is actually 0.8. A figure for this is explained here. You can see the full QL and the full years is mentioned, and the as per the estimated TTO is actually 0.8. Okay, so you can just mark it from here. So, TTO reflects the explicit QALY choice comparing quality of life to length of life, This figure gives two equally good combinations of quantity and quality, that is two rectangles of the same size. Hence, there is a possibility of trade off, either you go for this or you are actually compromising this or just the reverse. So, this requires a compensation, hence we are saying trade off, or this involves opportunity cost. Hence, it is equivalent to the expression of willingness to forgive to estimate the QL. Okay. Out of the choice of these three, that is VS, SG and TTO, you can just, I am just going back and just show you what we have discussed. I will just come back. So, this is what I said, VS in a scale, visual analog scale, and in a gamble setup called standard gamble. Then in the TTO we said and we also estimated. We are just trying to compare these three together. SG and TTO are choice based measurement techniques that are preferred for economic valuations. Okay. And this is because people mainly will not reveal true preference without constraint choices like they have in their real life. Like stated preference, that is SP, all these techniques are either experimental or survey based. Hence, less reasons to apply economic behavior reasoning to it. So, the visual analog scale have desirable psychometric properties like data collection efficiency and the minimum cost of sample. VS measure is argued to have some advantage over others. However, the TTO we just say is most widely used. Okay. Now, we actually discuss from a person point of view, just a single person point of view, not from a societal point of view. Here we are actually linking to how a person is actually trading up with the society. Okay. So, hence it is called person trade off method. In addition to these three techniques for measuring the individual value of Q, there is called PTO, person trade off method, that looks at the social values, that is SB of one health compared to another, as mentioned in the paper note 1995. Unlike the other three, it asks respondents to imagine a hypothetical choice between saving the life of one person or treating the n person in described state. You might have seen that whether one disease of treating is equivalent to how many other diseases can be corrected in hospital. Hence, policies emphasis are actually given which one to be emphasized and how many person can be cured. So, implicit social value of described health state is equal to hence 1 minus 1 upon capital N. The value implied for the PTO intended to reflect the social value of health state against individual utility implied from the SG and TTO. However, here always a question persists, that is how great this size, okay, that N size we just referred for the social value, how great N should be for respondents to consider two programs with the choice of two programs, that is life saving or treating, N number of patients to be equally good. So, by referring to these discussions, we are here mentioning the limitations of that QALY, which we already started. QALY received much criticism in literature. Relevance of critic depends on what QALY purport to be, and if it is meant to reflect the individual utility of health gains, there are certainly deficiency in the ways of its measurement and its empirical evidence. So, assumptions like risk neutrality, constant proportional trade off between Q and T, which usually do not hold. Okay. So, hence QALY is questionable, and if it is meant to reflect the social value of healthcare, there are certainly other concerns beyond differences in health gains. Empirical evidence shows other streams of health matters such as severity of illness, age, etc. However, if QALY is meant only to measure health outcomes, the above criticism does not hold. Okay. So, if it is only to measure health outcome, it is perfectly fine. Since there are some problems we identify with the QALY, hence the latest one we are using, latest two techniques we will be emphasizing, but DALY is mostly used. DALY stands for disability adjusted life years. This is alternatively used to QALY. This is developed by a research group of Harvard University, World Bank and WHO in 1994. And to define this, one DALY represents the loss of equivalent of 1 year of full health. Okay. So, loss of equivalent of 1 year full health, that means 1 DALY. Alright. While QALY is developed for measuring health gains, DALY is developed for measuring the global burden of disease, that is to be noted. So, GBD is emphasized, hence the loss of equivalent 1 year of full health is important so far as 1 unit of DALY is discussed. So, GBD refers to the health losses associated with various causes of disease and injury. DALY is a measure of gap between the current health status and the ideal health situations where everyone lives to old age in full health. DALY is also intended to be used as a metric for health effects in denominator of cost effectiveness ratio CR like we discussed in QALY. Similar to QALY, DALY provides metric intended to be completely commensurable across mortalities and morbidities. Measurement of DALY here is presented. This is indeed a combination of both years of life lost and due to premature mortality, that is called YLL, and the years lived with disability, then YLD. By using these two, it is just a addition or sum of the YLL and YLD, premature mortality and the years lived with disability. So, where when these two are actually added, we get the DALY value. Years of life lost due to premature mortality in population, and YLD is years life with disability. So, what is YLL then? YL basically is called the expected expectancy minus age of death times the number of deaths in a time frame, and so calculation of YLD is basically is mentioned through the prevalence, duration and their disability. So, the YLD is years life with disability, that means disability is there. The years life means duration is there, and the extent of disability, that is prevalence, is also present. So, prevalence is here in terms of number of people living with particular health conditions. Others like disability weight is also important, that is a factor representing the severity of the disability, ranging from 0, that is perfect health, to 1 equivalent to death. Here we are actually taking the notation just in reverse to identify the death or the disease related aspects. In a community, here we are presenting the example in a community affected by a disease. Let us say 50 individuals die at the age of 60. 30 individuals including children and adults experience a disability with a weight of 0.7 for 5 years. If the standard life expectancy is 80, what is DALY count? So, in that case we are supposed to simply add YLL and YLD, and in this case when I say years of life lost, that means years of life lost is actually the maximum full life, the standard life expectancy is 80, and this is our 60, okay, the die at the age of 60, hence the difference is of is mentioned times the number of deaths we have already mentioned, 50 individuals died. So, 20 times 50 is 1000 YLLs, and then we will calculate YLD, that is simply that multiplication of 3, prevalence, duration of disability and the disability weight. So, in this case it is given as 0.7 is indeed the weight, and the duration of weight is 5 years is given, 5 years is given, and then prevalence is 30 individuals case. So, YLD is also given. Given these figures, we can calculate by just adding these two, we will find that 1105 is the DALYs. So, obvious question is how to avoid these DALYs, when DALYs is considered to be higher in number. DALY we are just mentioning over here that DALY aborted refers to the reduction in DALY due to an interventions. Fox, Rusby and Keynes 2005 illustrated through a figure. Here for then QALY gains or DALY averted with intervention, then DALY is lost from disease. In different time indicator you can see with the interventions you will see higher indicators, okay, ranging from the Q and D is given. First one is untreated, then treated, and the maximum T till the death is presented. We are actually referring to these authors. So, we need to just mention very clearly that DALY aborted is similar to QALY gained. Okay. Arithmetically, DALY is inverted of, this is most important for your questions in the exam. DALY is inverted of QALY. So, healthy life years equivalent, another tools in short called HLYE, that is the value of years of life in good health. We are actually now emphasizing healthy life years equivalent, and this is adjusted for quality of life taking into account the mortality and morbidity. So, HLYE is calculated life expectancy times its health related quality of life. So, health related quality of life in this case is ranging from 0 to 1, representing individuals perceived quality of life, where 0 is equivalent to death and 1 is perfect health. Okay. And expected life expectancy is basically the number of years an individually anticipated to life. So, this is HLYE is similar to QALY, but may be used specifically to emphasize healthy state or disease free years. So, in an example you can easily calculate if the life expectancy is given, then due to some illness has a lower quality of life, okay, and hence the HRQL score is 0.8, all right. So, the life expectancy we have already mentioned, and the HRQL figure is given as 0.8, hence in total it is 56 HLYE. This means that the individual is expected to live 70 years, and these years, that is 56 years, are considered equivalent to the better life or the healthy years and given the quality of life. This has limitation, this is too simplistic, and predicting for the healthy years are very difficult, and it is this HLYE is useful for assessing the overall health of population, but it does not provide information on the burden of disease or the effectiveness of specific intervention. So, this does not even provide like DALY and QALY. So, here are the comparisons of these indicators which are already mentioned. So, the most important indicator is preference. So, in this figure which one to be chosen, okay, the table answers this question as it shows the type of health outcomes measures depending on commensurability, that is based on 4 requirements of resource allocation. Okay. So, that is mortality, morbidity, mortality and mobility, and preference based, which we have stated from the very beginning. Or you can see for each of the indicators you will hardly find figures like for survival rates, etc. Of course, it will be no here, hardly preference is noted because these are macro figures, individual figures is not noted. But in other cases, I am just discussing the last two, that is QALY and DALY. In the QALY case, you see all have yes as the response, especially for the preference based. You see QALY is most preferred. Okay. And whereas in case of DALY, disability adjusted life years, the preferences are not made, which is again the figures related to morbidities and disease, okay, and life expectancies, where preferences are not taken, but other indicators are perfectly fine. So, hence it is depending upon the context which you are actually into it, and can apply the technique. So, in short, what is important in this lecture, even the previous lecture also we discussed about the QALY, right, and here we discuss health state valuation techniques, and such as the VS, the standard gamble, and TTO, as well as PTO, where linking with the social values. And we also address the limitations of the QALY, the different aspects of QALY. You can refer to the previous lecture. The alternative uses of QALY is DALY and HLYE. However, DALY is even better preferred given its objective methods and the purpose. So, we have also explained by those with their respective examples. I think these two lectures are going to be very useful for your exam point of view. So, and you can compare these outcomes and also answer the questions accordingly. I suggest strongly to read carefully between the lines in the PPT as well as the respective readings. Okay. So, in the next lecture we are going to have information that will be emphasizing on the costing and discounting in health evaluation and other aspect of economic evaluation. So, these are the readings. I think without delay, I think I should conclude, since we have already exceeded the time. I hope you will raise questions for further clarifications. Thank you.